link, so we should be fine. Or maybe we have 500. Let me check again, because they've been bumping us up and down all the time. Let me see. Maybe it is 500.
So my number is 400. I just need you to say good or bad.
My number is 200.
200, okay. So my number is 400. So
down.
My number is 400. And then we'll discuss the terms later, but I'm gonna put my terms down right next to my number.
All right.
So then I'll take a picture of it, send it to you.
And those of you who are confused by this talk, we always have bets with Dr. B about different predictions. And so last time I lost and had to mail her $20. Let's see if I'm gonna get my money back. So, but yeah, the way we bet is that I always want to lose. So if I lose, that's a good thing. So that's the sweetest $20 that I ever lost.
So I just sent you my terms.
All right.
On chat. So at any time during our webinar that it exceeds combined 400 here and YouTube, right?
Yeah, let's see where we are.
Okay.
All right, but so I guess we are ready to start, right? 9
Yes.
a.m. So we have quite a few people watching. So it is time to welcome everybody to the X-Culture Academy family. And are we officially on, or?
We are officially on. It's 9:01, so we are.
All right. All right. So today is an orientation and welcome event for the 2022 round of X-Culture. So those who don't know, we do it 2 times a year. So we do it in the spring and in the fall. But because we have people from all around the world, this semester we actually have over 1,300 applications from 104 countries as of this morning. So basically almost every country, not every, but almost every country on the planet. So all 6 continents. And obviously we cannot call these semesters spring and fall because, for example, for Rafael in Brazil here, one of our coaches, it's winter and, or I guess moving into the spring. And for us, it's summer moving into the fall. So therefore, we call those rounds 1 and 2. And so we're about to start the 2022 round, and that's the one we want to welcome you to. You know how people sometimes complain about modern school, how it is boring and soul crushing, and students are made to sit all day at the desk and don't talk and don't move and just follow the directions and do boring drills all the time. Well, the X-Culture Academy is nothing like that. So you did sign up for this online course, but it is not the type of course that you would be taking at a regular school, where you would be given lectures and you would be made read books and just sit and not talk and don't do anything. In fact, it's just the opposite. You'll have to do a lot of things. After some training that is kind of like school, you will be placed in an international team, or as we call it, global virtual team. Global because you will have team members from literally all around the globe. So there will be about 7 people per team, each one from a different country. And then virtual because you will be communicating online using so-called virtual communication tools. So you will be using Zoom, Skype, email, Doodle, Google Docs, Dropbox, and whatnot. We will train you in the first four weeks how to use those tools and a lot of other things. But then you will be left up to you and your team to communicate whichever way you want. And so it will be all doing. So it will be all hands-on, it will be all action. So there will be real clients, real companies that came to us with real problems that they have. And so they will be asking for your help. And some of you may be saying or asking or wondering, how can I help a company when I'm only 16, for example, or whatever your age is? Well, you don't have to be smarter than the CEO or the manager or the founder of that company. You just have to know something that he or she doesn't know. Maybe there is something wrong with the name of the company in your language. They don't speak your language, so they will not know that unless you tell them. Maybe there is a business opportunity for that company in your country. And again, they haven't been to your country, they don't know, so you can tell them. Or maybe there is a similar company in your country and they do something really smart and you know that, but the company doesn't know it. So you can borrow those ideas that you've seen in your location, or maybe you read in a book, or maybe you know from somewhere else, and share that with the client company. And yes, you alone may not solve the challenge, but there are many, many of you. So we have about 6,000 university students. Many of them are MBA students and master students, and some of them are undergraduate students. And then we have over 1,000 academy students, of which some are pre-college teenagers and others are adults, professionals, as we call them, so non-student professionals. And so while each of you individually perhaps will not bring the final solution to the company's problem, when we pull all those ideas together, it's actually a lot of help. And so the companies are usually very, very happy with the work you do. They appreciate it. And I don't think we've ever had a single company that did not want to participate multiple times. So they say, oh, that was so useful, so helpful. Can I please use your students one more time for the problem solving? But the important thing is, as you will be working on that as a team on those challenges, you will, on the one hand, gain real life, real firsthand experience in working with people from different countries. So you will work across the time zones, you will work across the cultural differences, you will work across the institutional differences, you will communicate online, you will learn how to use all those tools, you will make friends all around the world. You will maybe even make modern friends. We've had actually the first couple that got married. So they met through X-Culture and then got married, what, a year ago or something like that. So who knows what it's going to lead to. Maybe business partners, maybe your future colleagues, co-workers, supervisors, employees. So that's the international collaboration part. On the other hand, you will get business consultant essentially. So you will have live meetings with the clients. You will learn about their business. You will ask questions, get feedback, share your ideas. So you essentially will have a job of a business consultant. And so as you are doing that, you will be learning. So our motto is learning by doing. So learning international business by doing international business. So a little bit later towards the end of the session, I will talk a little bit more about how exactly it works, what to expect, what happens next, what your next steps are, what to look out for. But for now, I'm going to turn the microphone, virtual microphone, to Dr. Leilani Baumenis, Dr. B, who will be your mother, supervisor, coach, director, boss. So she's the director for the X-Culture Academy program, and she will be the main point of contact. And she's the general who is running this show or battle or course. Dr. B, please.
Hello, everybody. So Dr. Teraz always calls me the general because I actually was a soldier in the United States Army for a little while. I served 3 years. But so just a quick overview about me. And then I'm going to ask Dr. Teraz to also do the same. I have been an international business professor now for 21 years. I actually live in South Florida. I teach at a university in Miami. It's Johnson & Wales University. And I've been there actually for most of my professional career. I have a doctorate in international business administration. And I've done work with Erasmus Mundus program, where we worked on study abroad program with students from all over the European Union. And in the recent years, in the last 3 years, I've actually been the director of the Global Business Week, which you guys will all be invited to. I ran the program, the on-ground program for Global X-Culture, where students from all over the world go to a university in one country. So for example, the first one was actually hosted here in Miami by my university. The second one was hosted at the University of Macerata in Italy, and the third one in Calgary at the University of Calgary. And then this year, currently, right now, we were all supposed to be in Singapore at the Singapore Management University. I'm telling you this because ultimately, when you become a part of the X-Culture family and you rise up to be among the top 10%, you will also be invited to be a member or a student of these on-ground events. And as you continue your relationship with our X-Culture family, if you are a high school student, you transfer into the college program, from the undergraduate to the master's and perhaps to the doctoral program. And for those of you guys who are professionals, we are actually developing more and more professional driven programs where you can actually interact with all sorts of people from all tracks of life. Again, focusing on your international business skills and growing your talents. So a little bit about, well, so let me ask Dr. Teraz actually to, because he went right into what is X-Culture
Right.
Academy, right? But nothing about his fabulous credentials and who he is as a human being. And, you know, if someday an opportunity ever came to where there's a Nobel Peace Prize nominee that I get to plug in, I would put his name in. So
very generous of you.
Mr. Teraz is very, very humble. So now we're going to ask him to lay out his credentials.
So I'm an associate professor of international business at the University of North Carolina in Greensboro. I got my PhD in basically international business at the University of Calgary. Before that, I studied economics, got my master's at the University of Texas at Dallas. As you can tell by my accent, I'm not from the United States. I'm actually Ukrainian by birth. And then I have lived in half a dozen countries before I ended up here in North Carolina. And yes, I was the person who started X-Culture 10, 11 years ago. Dr. B joined me pretty much right away. There were several other professors who joined us in the first year and still all stay in touch. And over the 10 years, we've had about 870 professors and universities that participated in the project. So every semester we have, as I said, about 6,000 students from about 160, 170, 80 universities in 45 countries this semester by the location of the university. But if you look at all of the students, not only the universities, but also the academy students, the professionals and the teenagers, and look at their locations. So we are over 100 countries in a given semester. So it's a truly global project, and it's been a blessing to all of us. I mean, I met a lot of colleagues, co-authors, friends. In fact, now my closest friends are from X-Culture, and it's kind of sad that we are all in different locations, and usually we would meet 3, 4, 5 times a year. So we have the X-Culture Global Symposium in this Global Business Week in the summer, X-Culture Global Symposium in the fall. We have the Academy of Management Conference, Academy of International Conference, and the Academy of International Business Southeast Division Conference. So we meet every few weeks essentially. And this year, obviously, I haven't seen everyone face to face for a while, so it's a little sad, but hopefully we will catch up next year and do twice as many meetings.
So let me just give you a quick rundown of what we're going to experience today. I already have a question here from a student saying, you know, hey, what happens in the future if I can't attend all of these meetings? We are recording this actually, and it's going to be posted on YouTube. So if you walk away and you miss something, you can always go back to YouTube and watch what you missed. Or for those of you guys who are watching this now and you know you want to go to bed in an hour because it's almost midnight, you know, go ahead and go to bed. Don't ruin your sleep schedule, because we will post this on YouTube and you'll be able to access it in the future.
And if I may say to that, so Fiza, you're asking a very interesting question here. So when we have people in virtually every country or every continent on the planet, I mean, obviously, no matter what time we schedule the meeting for, there will be someone who will be at school sleeping at that time. So obviously everything is recorded. You can watch it later, so no problem there at all. Likewise, there will be meetings that you have to have with your team. So the lectures that we do, there will be several that we strongly encourage you to attend. Most will be optional. So when we invite some guest speakers, so if you can't attend, no big deal. The more important thing will be meeting with your team. Again, your team members will be from all around the world, and you will have to find times to meet sometimes. So you will probably rely more on email and chat and some other written tools that don't have to happen in real time. But at least sometimes you probably want to meet with them live. And so it will be a challenge sometimes, but that's the whole point. So you will first be frustrated. So this guy from Pakistan or Ukraine or the United States is never available because it's a different time zone. But eventually you will figure that out. And eventually we will teach you how to find a time that works for everybody. There are wonderful tools that allow you to sort of, you know, go through this process pretty quickly. And so towards the end of the project, you will be hopefully more skilled and knowledgeable and grateful, and you will say, oh, now I know how to do it. So that's the whole point here. So no worries, it will be fine. It will be at times a little overwhelming and a little difficult, but that's the whole point. So the more challenging it is during the kind of practical phase, the more prepared you are for the real thing when you do it as part of your job. So no worries. And then yes, at the end, oh yes, go ahead, Melanie.
Yeah, so we'll talk to you. Dr. Teraz is gonna put together a very detailed 30-minute segment towards the end of this webinar. So make sure that you go and check on that. And just for staying on time with everything, we're gonna have 5 segments, basically. This was segment 1. Youssef and Leon now is going to talk to you guys about their experience as Academy students. We're also going to have some senior coaches who will be talking to you about what they can do for you as Academy students. And then we have a great keynote speaker today, the former Chief Education Evangelist, meaning the Chief Education Officer.
Isn't that a cool name? I mean, like, I wish I had a job title like professor. That sounds kind of cool, but it's not really, just, it's boring.
Boss, whatever name you want, you can have.
Yeah, but I mean, Chief Education Evangelist of Google. I mean, that sounds cool. I mean,
you know, he made that up.
I don't know, but I mean, it's still, you know, maybe we should call, instead of the program director, maybe we should call you something, I don't know, the Supreme.
No.
No. Yeah, but yeah, we need to come up with something like, you know, like the Sculpture Academy Ninja Master or something like that.
Okay, I'll have to think. I like to think more of Zen and yoga.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Okay, so Zen Master.
Zen Master. Okay, yeah. So we'll talk more in detail about the process of Academy, X-Culture Academy. So prepare any questions you have at that time, and we'll try to answer you during that last 30-minute segment, okay? But for now, we're going to disappear. Dr. Teraz and I will disappear for a little bit, and we're gonna invite Leon and Youssef to tell us about their experience as Academy students. So see you in a little.
So hello, everybody. We're just waiting for the slides, and then we will begin.
Okay, you can start.
Okay, thank you. So welcome everybody to X-Culture. Before I actually begin, I would like to mention, should you have any questions or comments throughout our time together, please feel free to post them in the chat and we will answer them towards the end. So let me introduce myself. My name is Leon Maspro. I am 16 years old and I am from South Africa. I'm currently a senior coach within X-Culture, and today Youssef and I will be sharing our X-Culture experience with you. I'll now pass it over to Youssef.
Hello guys, I'm Youssef Kamil, you can call me Sudani. I'm a 17 years old and a high school rising senior from Egypt and a first time senior coach at X-Culture. Now we'll talk about our journeys. Then you can start.
So actually, before I share my X-Culture journey, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about my life and who I am. I live in a beautiful but extremely remote and off-the-grid nature reserve. I've been homeschooled my entire life and I'm an only child. So all those factors put together result in me not necessarily being exposed to everyday things, not that I'm complaining about it. And I'm always looking for new ways to gain new knowledge and build my skills. One of them being X-Culture. I started my X-Culture experience at the beginning of 2019 as an X-Culture Academy student, just like you're all today. I then went on to being a coach and I had the chance to guide students through the process that I was actually still trying to fully understand. To now being a senior coach and having to share my knowledge and experience has been such a roller coaster ride, but totally worth it. And I cannot wait for you to join me on it because it is truly life-changing. X-Culture has helped me grow both personally and professionally. For example, my confidence is terrible and X-Culture has actually helped me gain my confidence so much more. If you had told me this time last year that I would be speaking in front of you all today, I would have really laughed my head off and told you that you're insane. And yet here I am. And lastly, one of the main things, what I personally think one of the most important things of X Culture is the community and the X Culture family. Every day, I'm so honored to work side by side with such amazing and inspiring people. And I personally want to welcome you to the X Culture family. Youssef, the stage is yours.
Yeah, hello guys again. Foremost, I'd like to tell you a little bit about who I am. I'm a rising senior at a boarding STEM school in Egypt. I like drawing since I was a child, and I also like the idea of traveling and roaming the world, but I didn't have the chance till now, I hope soon. I unintentionally participated in X Culture 2019's August semester, like, like this. Wasn't expecting so much indeed to achieve through this experience, but upon receiving the acceptance emails, everything started to be quite serious. I felt that I'm not the right person to do this as a STEM school student, but it was my choice and I decided to continue. I passed all theoretical training tests and with good scores, and that was an optimistic beginning for me. And after joining a global virtual team, I felt like I'm overwhelmed and I couldn't control anything in team and distribution of tasks and the work. And there were many other challenges like time zone differences, free riding, and many others you will learn about throughout the semester at X Culture. But the only thing that was unchangeable between me and my team is our kindness and friendliness to each other. We never had a conflict or collided. And although our outcome wasn't the best or wasn't the greatest we could achieve, but we're still friends till now. And I'm sure that no one regretted joining X Culture with us. What I like the most about X Culture, besides the academic experience I had, is the multicultural environment exposure. I know so many people from all over the world. I became an extroverted student who knows how to deal with people from different cultures and also can speak in front of all of you today. I myself can say now that this experience was an eye-opener for me to the business realm as a STEM school student who didn't know or even think about business before. And now I'm applying to major global business management at a top US college. Who knows, my whole career shifted at X Culture. And I continued my journey at X Culture by being a coach at the previous semester. I really enjoyed helping participants. I was one of them before. And currently, as a senior coach, the responsibility became much bigger, but I promise I will do my best to help as much students as I can. And lastly, I'm thankful to the coincidence that made me part of X Culture community and changed my life. And now we'll talk about our advance. Darren can start.
So we both chose two pieces of advice that we hope will help you through your journey. My first piece is give X Culture everything you've got, because as far as I'm concerned, you have nothing to lose. And in actual fact, you have so much to gain. So don't let this amazing opportunity pass by. And secondly, remember that you're all in this together. No matter what challenge you face or setbacks you have to overcome, do it together and support each other through the process, because you're all a family. And just enjoy the process and have fun. Youssef, you can share your wisdom.
Yes. My first piece of advice to you is to keep communicating. It's an integral part within X Culture community. You have to keep communicating with your team members um, make everybody in the team feel the responsibility. He commits to his team or to her team. Everybody works on a task. It mightly affects the overall team performance, and you should work together to have a great experience with X Culture and have also a great outcome. The second one is to provide valuable feedback. It's also a great skill that you should acquire through X Culture. No one is perfect, and we all have misses, but you have to be kind to your teammates. And if someone did a task which isn't great to you, you can say you can work on this more. This section is need to be improved, and this website could help you, or I could help you. Not just saying like it's bad. He'll be or she'll be upset and maybe afraid afterwards, and uh, will not be able to communicate about it. About the quote, I like this quote as it fits X Culture's community coming together at the beginning. It's when you all received your acceptance emails and keeping together the progress. It's when you're having your theoretical tests, and lastly, working together as a success. That's when you are placed all in global virtual teams and start working on your challenges and reports. And now we'll check the questions.
So if you do have any questions, please feel free to ask now. And I see we have one already. So Youssef, do you want to answer this one first? What is your biggest challenge faced as a student? Sorry.
What? Sorry.
What is your biggest difficulties you faced as a student?
As a student in East culture, I had a difficulty coping with the time zones, as I had my team was all dispersed from all over the world, and so many students in my team couldn't agree. We couldn't agree on a meeting every day or every week even, and that was difficult to keep up with every week's work and every week's tasks. That was very hard, and it was keeping us late to achieve anything or to work or to complete any task we will be doing. That's it. That was the biggest difficulty I had indeed.
And then here's another question. How did you motivate yourself? Okay, I'll answer this one. So for me, especially because I am not necessarily exposed to everyday experiences as I have mentioned, and because I love this program so much, I actually don't necessarily need to motivate myself. It's just, I just want to do it and I want to help X culture like it helped me. Youssef, I don't know, do you have anything to add on that?
Listen, as I said, in my life experience, it shifted my career at all. I wasn't thinking even know anything about business, and now I'm applying to major business in my future university, and that's a whole completely different thing I had after East culture.
Sorry, I'm just trying to decide which questions to answer. Youssef, if you also want to have a look and see which ones.
Yeah. If there's any drawbacks for joining East culture, no, I myself didn't regret joining East culture, although it was by coincidence experience, but I really enjoyed it, and as I said, I'm thankful to this coincidence that changed my life indeed.
And here's a question: how do you manage your time properly for X culture?
Yeah.
That one is a hard one, but if you just set your priorities right and actually make sure that you get the task done before time and prioritize, I think it definitely can help. But what I've learned with X culture, there's never actually a set timeline. So many things can be thrown at you and you can just take them as opportunities to learn.
Yeah, it won't take much time from you within a week, but you have to be committed, maybe maximum 4 hours a week, just to keep communicating with your team and keep up with everything your team do, and that's everything. It won't take much time, but you have to be committed and to have the responsibility. That's it. We can then answer the rest of the questions in the chat.
I hope
you all enjoy
many questions. I'm trying to keep up with them, but they come through all the channels, so we should have assigned several people to manage the questions. I didn't realize there would be so many. I will say, though, to everyone that in the second half of the session, we will talk about how this works, what to expect, what happens next, how you will be placed on teams, what you need to do. So don't worry about that for now. We will talk about that in a few minutes. So we would like to go through some of the sort of welcoming parts first, but then we will get into the technicalities. I also see we have some questions about the payments and financial aid. I will address all of that in the second half of the event. So nothing to worry about. It's pretty simple, and we'll explain all of that in a few minutes. All right?
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Hope you all enjoyed the presentation. And for further queries, you can find us at these emails. Thanks.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Okay, so it looks like we have so many questions that it's really hard for us to keep up with it. And coaches, if you can help me answer them. I think we're all, the entire team is going back and forth. I see Jaron is making a lot of responses. Again, supporting what Dr. Teraz said, a lot of your questions are going to be answered towards the end. So if we're not answering your question right now, just know that, we're thinking, oh, we're going to answer that question later.
Yeah, I
So,
have a prepared review of, as I said, how it works, what it does, because it is a little different. It's not your regular course where you just,
Right.
you know, read the book and do the test. No. So there
Right.
is some complication, and I'll explain everything in terms of how you will be trained, how you will be placed in international teams, what is
Right.
expected of you during that period, how you will communicate with us, how you will communicate with the team, what kind of data we will be collecting, all of that, and obviously, you know, payments, exams, certificates, recommendation letters. I'll talk about that in a few
Yeah.
minutes.
So for now, we want to dedicate this time to the information that we would like to push out to you with regards to our coaches and our senior coaches. So now the next presentation is going to be by our senior ambassadors, and they are Jaren, Patricia, and Raphael. And I believe that they have a little interactive session for you as well. So you'll get to engage and interact in a sec. Okay, good luck, guys.
Sorry, just give me a moment. Okay.
So, welcome guys. Thank you for your presence here. My name is Rafael and I'm from Brazil. I'm a senior coach here in Next Culture, and my first participation was in 2018 as a student, and since then I fell in love with the program and never stopped. For this semester, B to coordinate all the coaches that will be assisting and mentoring all of you. So if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach me out and I'll be glad to help. Now, Jerry and Patricia will talk more about ex-coaches coaches.
So hello everyone. My name is Jaren. I'm 17 years old this year and I'm from Malaysia. I participated in Next Culture Academy in the second semester of 2019. I became a coach in the first semester of 2020, and I'm currently serving as a senior coach.
Hello everyone, my name is Patricia. I'm from the Republic of Moldova. I participated in X-Culture in the second semester of 2019 and became a coach in the first semester of 2020. And now it's my second semester as a coach. Nice to meet you all. So the main job of a coach is to assist students solve their issues they might encounter during their experience. And we'll go into that.
So we have found that there are many types of issues, but in the beginning status, we have two types, which is organizational and personal. So in organizational, we have found that these are the four main issues that will always occur in the beginning. So in the beginning, assigning roles has been a problem, and most participants would not know how to assign roles to each other. This is optional in teams, and if you do want to and you do not know, coaches have been trained to assist you in suggesting roles that can be given out to each participant. The next is establishing contact with team members. In the beginning of the practical phase, there are times where you will not be able to establish contact with your fellow teammates. And as coaches, you may reach out to us and we will help you in contacting those teammates. And if we do not get them, we will be excluding them from the program itself. The next is distributing workload. And the report itself is a big thing, and there will be different sections that you will have to do. And it's a heavy load for students like your age. So as coaches, we have been taught how to help distribute workload among students itself. And we will give suggestions based on the experience of the students, and it's up to the team itself to decide who gets which part to work on. The last is suggesting appropriate means of communication. And in this kind of time, there are many types of communications that everyone has been using. So we as coaches will suggest means of communication that you can use throughout your semester. So it is up to you all whether you will take our advice on which communication you will use.
Okay, so you might also encounter more personal issues, such as a conflict with a member. So if you contact us for a conflict, then we will work with you to identify the cause which sparked the conflict and suggest ways you yourself can approach that member and solve it yourself. And we may also contact that member and ask their point of view on why they acted the way they did and solve it together. Also, doubts can arise from a number of reasons, so we work together with you to identify the reason and encourage you to participate further in X culture because it's an amazing experience and it's totally worth it. Also, you might encounter problematic members and you will familiarize yourself with different types of problematic members during your training. But one such a member could be a free rider, and we need to remember that free riders can be either intentional or unintentional, so it's better not to jump to conclusions from the start. So we would contact that member who is not actively participating in writing the report and ask them what was the reason and give them a warning of what would happen if they continue not participating. So these are just some issues. You may or may not encounter them, but you just need to know that you always can contact a coach to help you with them.
So as coaches as well, we do review your reports. So this is optional throughout your semester, and you may ask us to review your report either weekly or whenever you like to. So as coaches, we will identify problems throughout your report. So the problems that we might find is parts that need improvement. So, and unnecessary information and unclear information. These are parts where there will be information that you have taken from somewhere and it's not exactly linked to what you are writing in your report. So as coaches, we will find those parts that will need improvement and inform you and give feedback to you that you can use. It's a suggestion only.
Okay, so after identifying those parts, we will suggest how you could better structure information so it's clearer and looks more professional. For example, a big piece of text would be better structured in a diagram or a table. So we would suggest and help you structure the information. And we could also suggest what you could add or exclude from your report because there are parts that are better not included in the report, and we will also give you reasoning so you don't feel like we are criticizing you. All right.
So as coaches, we will help you prepare webinars throughout your semester. So in your timing, there will be times where you will not be able to schedule your webinars or you do not know how to. And as coaches, we will be assisting you if you need so to schedule the webinar based on your time zones. And we will manage the webinar if you want us to. And we are there to help allocate the time effectively. So during your discussion, if there are some problems, we will help you out in solving them on the spot itself. And these were only done for academy participants itself.
Okay. Coaches also evaluate reports and help choose the best teams. So it's a very complex process. So I'll try to break it down as simple as I can. So after the teams submit their reports, coaches are assigned a number of reports they need to evaluate. And that is done in order to help identify the better reports. So coaches will provide additional feedback, like what were the strengths of the report, what could have been done better, what could have been improved. Then those better teams are invited to present their report in a live webinar to company executives, professors, coaches, and senior coaches. And they are further evaluated on how well they presented their report. Then those best teams are chosen.
So we as coaches have a coaching team itself that handles the academy side. And I'll let Raphael explain the rest of this. Raphael?
So for now, our team composed by me. I'm the senior coach coordinator for the coaches. Annette Nakamiya, she's a senior coach that will be helping us. Leon Maspero, another senior coach from South Africa. Sayaka Tanaka from Singapore, Jaron from Malaysia, Patricia from Moldova, Youssef from Egypt, Ania from, I forgot right now,
The
sorry.
Philippines.
Malaysia.
Yes, Philippines.
Oh, the
Philippines.
Philippines.
And it's also from Egypt, Salma, Ayam, Samra, and Baktash. All of them are here to support you throughout this semester.
If I may add also that there are about 50 additional coaches, primarily former MBA students who will be coaching the university students and professionals. Again, it's very important to remember that the X-Culture has 3 distinct tracks. So we have the main track, about 6,000 people are university students, primarily MBA and business students. Then a separate track, the X-Culture Academy kids or teenagers, most of them I assume are here. And then separately professionals. Again, people who are 18 years and older, most of them would be in their 20s and 30s and sometimes even 40s, and not students. So they joined not through the university, but either applied individually or through their company. And so again, that's a whole separate group. And obviously all of the teams and all of the training materials that kind of tailored to those different groups. So the expectations for the teenagers are a little lower than, for example, for the university students. The professionals are probably the most experienced people, so the expectations and the work they do is a little bit more advanced for them. And so obviously the coaches and the support structures are a little different for those different groups. And then obviously, again, when we put you on in teams, you will be matched with people of the same age and experience. So if you happen to be a 16 or 17-year-old teenager, you will be on a team with the same age school or high schoolers. If you're a university student, for example, MBA student, you will be on a team with other MBA students of a similar age and experience. And if you are a professional, maybe a little older, maybe you have family and so on, you will be placed on teams with people, again, of your age and your experience and your sort of level, so that you don't have to, so all of that is matched, obviously. So.
All right, so we chose a quote by Martin Luther King Jr. You don't need to see the whole staircase, just take the first step, which we thought relates to X-Culture because in the beginning, the report and X-Culture might seem like a lot to do and you might get overwhelmed, but it's not that scary. Just remember that you need to take this big part and divide it into smaller parts and work on those one step at a time. So when you see the result, it's one big, beautiful report. And along the process, you will have us coaches who will guide you, will support you, and will always encourage you. So don't hesitate to contact us.
Thank you for all for your attention. If you have any questions, we will be answering them now.
I actually see quite a few questions here, and some of them, again, are about the process and how it works. And so I will be addressing that a little bit later. So I'm trying to see which questions we'll want to answer now and which ones we'll want to answer a little bit later. But some of these questions could be perhaps for you guys. So you all completed the X-Culture program as students, then you qualified, went through training, became coaches, and now you're helping us run this program. And so one of the questions here is, what was your biggest surprise in this program? So when you joined, was there something that you did not expect and it went completely different and was a surprise for you? Anyone?
So I joined in 2019 and I actually worked with Patricia in the semester itself. So I was her teammate. So during that time, we knew about free riding itself and we thought that maybe it wasn't going to happen to us. But as they always say, expect the unexpected, and we did actually have a free rider itself. So do expect the unexpected itself. But don't worry, coaches are always here itself to help you. So if you do have any problems, you can contact any of us.
Let me ask you one more question. So several people asked about the types of challenges, the tasks that you're working on. And I was going to tell what companies we have this semester and what the tasks are. But better yet, let me ask you guys. So when you were members of Global Virtual Teams, what company was your client and what did you work on? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, so our client company was Culturally. So should I say different sections we had to work on?
Well, tell what the company does and what kind of help they needed.
Oh,
So Culturally, go ahead.
What country was the company from?
Was from
Singapore.
China. Oh, Singapore.
Singapore, yeah.
So they work to also bring cultures together. So you may book experiences, cultural experiences, and different ambassadors for different ambassadors. They serve like a media. They are medium between. Yeah.
So they organize like immersive cultural experiences. Rafael, do you still remember what was your client, what company when you participated the first time?
I actually don't remember the name, but it was from Peru. It was a
that's
company.
the Vertical Journey.
Yes, that's correct.
So that's also a tourist company. So they organize sort of extreme type of sports and travel experiences. So we had
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, this semester we'll have about 7 companies to choose from. And so some of them make clothing, some of them make shoes, some of them make chocolate. We have a drone pilot school, so a network of schools that prepare drone pilots. So they ask for some help. So in the past, we also had like looking at the bigger companies that you may recognize. The very first client actually in 2013 was Mercedes-Benz. So they needed some help with developing a marketing strategy. We had Louis Vuitton 1 year, so they were asking for where we should open a new store and how should it be designed to be appealing to the people in that location. Other big companies that you may recognize, JCB, that's the British company that makes tractors and combines and excavators. So they were asking for some help in expanding into North American market. The Home Depot was asking for help in expanding beyond North American market. So they already have stores all around Canada, Mexico, the United States. And so they were asking for some help here and some ideas also for improving their .com services. So we tried to collect or select the companies in a way that each one represents a different industry and is headquartered in a different country. So there will be, as I said, up to 10 companies and each will be from a different country and with a different product. And in most cases, they will be asking for your help with, like, for example, the best marketing strategy and marketing tricks. Like if you were designing a commercial on TV, so what it would look like and things like that. So there will be some research that you will need to do and there will be some analysis that you will need to provide and then your creative ideas and that kind of stuff. So yeah, regular business.
Okay. For now, I will invite 2 more senior coaches that we will have a game so you can all participate.
Yep.
Sayaka and Annette, can you please join us? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi, everyone. My name is Annette. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm a senior coach. I joined X Culture in the cohort of 2019, and I really enjoyed it. I became a coach early this year in the cohort of 2020, the first year of cohort of 2020, and I'm now a senior coach. So we are here to play a game. Work without play makes us dull people. So the game is called Kahoot. It's really fun. It has questions to answer. They are general questions. Some of them are related to X culture. Others are related to business. Others are related to the general way we live or we communicate and relate with each other. So how do we play the game? You join with from the Kahoot website. You click on www.kahoot.it. Then I hope we're all joining. Please join. Just Google right now Kahoot and then join the game. Then you enter the pin. Yeah, you enter the pin. We will display the pin when the game starts, and then you enter nickname and you'll be in. Sayaka?
Sorry, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yep, so this is the pin that you need to enter after you go to the website. Okay, so let me just share the Kahoot here. Let me see who's in. Oops, not
Can you
this one,
share
sorry.
the
Yep, I'm
number
sharing,
in
sorry.
the chat?
Sorry, sorry. Let me stop the sharing first. Let me here. Oops, there is something. So just give me a moment, sorry.
No worries. I just said the number.
Yeah, is that working? Because sorry, there's something wrong here. Sorry. Oops. Oh no.
Just so you know, in real life, things will happen, and this is one of them. So this is a learning experience for all of us, Ayaka, right? So
Yeah.
don't stress, it's going to work.
Sorry about
Just
it.
be calm, yeah, and we'll work it out. Okay, so keep trying.
Thank you.
And just, you know, if you find your zen, it will work out more smoothly. So find that flow, find that flow. And for those of you guys who are watching us in webinar land, you know, things happen. I would say the S word, but then that would be inappropriate.
Thank you for helping me out with. Okay. Sorry, ready to join. Okay, sorry, I'm so sorry to inform you that the PIN code has changed to 15736.
There are a few questions meanwhile about math and STEM. So we don't really, how should I put it? We don't really provide training in STEM or math. It's all about international business, international collaboration. But to that question, I'll say that among the client companies that we have, sometimes there are some challenges where your technical skills and engineering skills may be actually useful. So first, many clients, many companies will ask you to do some market research. Maybe your team will go and perhaps interview some friends to get their ideas about, you know, a specific product or market. And then, so if you have some strong math skills, that would be useful for you to apply to analyze those data. Or sometimes our client companies ask for ideas, you know, product design. And so again, if you are a STEM major, for example, maybe you are good at engineering. So maybe you'll have some ideas for how it could be, you know, how your ideas could be applied towards improving that product. So we don't really specialize in math or engineering or whatever STEM areas are there. So we are all about international business. But if you do have that background, it actually could be useful for some of the tasks. So, yeah.
Okay, so can you guys see the screen?
So we see your
Now
screen
they
now,
are,
so it seems like everything's
okay.
fine right in.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Now there are 70 participants. We are still waiting for some others. Now we see 75 names. Anyone else joining? 77, 70. Oh, someone dropped, I guess.
So yes,
So
Sayaka, just play now. You're down to
Yep.
8 minutes. Okay, time to play.
Okay, these are very easy questions, guys. Do not fear or feel any remorse. Just enjoy the game.
So what does SWOT stands for? You just have to click the right answer.
It's not an easy
And at
question,
the
it's a difficult question.
Is it?
Boss,
Well, I
let the
actually
kids
like the first answer.
I'm not playing, I'm just watching.
Let's see who will get that right, Dr. Vaz. Actually, I think it's an interesting question.
Well, it's a university level question, so let's see if the non-university students can answer it.
Dr. Vaz, we are dealing with brainies here.
Actually, you know what? Quite a few people got it right. I'm surprised.
You see?
In a good company. Yeah,
And
nice.
Yara, she got the first place.
So Yara got it first. Okay, very nice.
Yep.
Oh, impressive.
The most important communication skill is... Well, I don't really know what the answer for this, actually.
Yeah, this one's...
Let's
Annette,
see,
are
this
you
is
the
a
one
general question.
Are those monkeys are supposed to be a hint to the correct answer?
Maybe it's a hint.
All right.
Let's see the answer. It's listening.
Ah,
Do you agree?
Ooh,
and Yara got it?
listening,
Oh, no.
yes.
Yeah, all
Why
right.
see Yara again?
All right.
What
We're
are the
going on
5
very well. We're
C's?
getting
All
on
right.
very
Now you
well.
got me. I don't know the answer to this one, so I'm glad I'm not playing.
5
You
C's
guys
of
have-
effective communication.
Are these questions from your training that you provide to the students? Is that something coaches teach? Clarity, consistency. This is a difficult one. I honestly don't even know the answer.
Annette, is this your profession? Communication.
Yeah.
Conversation.
Okay.
Okay, it's not my profession, but I love communicating. So
Wow,
Oh,
that's
but most of them go correct.
ooh, they
Wow.
got it.
is that
Many
correct?
got it right. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
How many different nationalities do you
Oh,
usually
that's
have
a
in
good one.
culture?
But again, yeah, that's a good
But
one.
you spoke about that in your introduction, Dr. Voss. So
Mhm.
this one, I think everyone will get it
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So I did say how many we have this semester, and that's by the country, by location, because some people move in their lifetime. So when you look at how many countries people call as their country of origin, the number may be even larger.
Yeah.
So that's the picture from that's from the from Italy, from the symposium we had a
Yeah,
couple of years ago.
that's
Yeah.
in Macerata. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Everybody
Right.
was listening
Nice.
carefully. So.
What action is considered rude in many Asian countries, especially in Buddhism? This is hard.
Touching someone's head, wearing shoes in temple, wearing hats inside class. Ooh.
If you're not from Asia, then you're
They
planning
like
to
to
visit.
get it right.
Yeah.
This is quite simple, actually.
Really? Have you
Really?
been to
Is it simple?
Asia?
Yeah.
Wait
I
a second. So when you walk into a church, you have to take off your shoes?
Exactly.
Temple.
actually
Temple, boss. Temple.
Temple.
Oh.
So the correct answer was what?
Some
All of
point.
the above?
All of the above, yes.
Yes.
So you cannot touch somebody's head?
No.
No,
Why
why
is
is
Head
that?
is
anyone
something
touching
holy.
someone's
Spot. You
head?
can't touch the
Really?
soft
That is
spot.
wrong.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm learning something. Okay,
That-
all right.
Okay,
Well,
next
that's
question.
That's wrong.
educational. Which of the following intelligence? All right, this one I know. I actually wrote a bunch of research papers on the topic. So, all right. Okay, this one we do know. In fact, I can show you empirical evidence that it is the most important thing. We did publish a paper where we looked at like 5 different types of intelligence.
All the above is correct.
Oh no, Dr.
Technically, it should have been cultural intelligence, wouldn't it be?
It's actually all the above, Dr. Voss.
All of the
Dr.
above
Voss,
are
that's gonna have to
important,
be a
but one is
conversation.
more
Yeah.
important. Oh, this
The
one's
most important
okay.
is culture, yeah.
This is a good question. Let's see if everybody was listening. All right. So this one, that's a test of not so much knowledge, but attention to detail.
Hint, hint. Dr. Voss talked about it.
All right, let's see if we get the correct answer on this one. I can't believe it that it's been so long now.
That's because we're old, Dr. Voss.
Yeah, we're getting old. They got it right. Yes, 2010.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, a good number of them got it
Okay,
right. It means they were
okay.
listening.
What is sex
oh,
culture
this
coaching
one. Okay, all
program?
right.
Okay, we got 2 more minutes to play, Sayaka.
Okay.
All
This
right.
photo is also from Italy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
I
me.
think that's in that conference room downstairs there, right?
Yeah. That's me. And that was right before we went to have
that's-
our faculty dinner. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I think that's the hackathon meeting on one of those, because all of them are professors, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, okay.
Right.
People were listening. To
Good, impressive.
So maybe we can go for one last question.
all right, let's
What
do
is
one
X
and then
culture
announce the
symposium?
winner. What is the X Culture Symposium?
Or
Oh, this is a
2 more.
good photo. So
You
this
can do-
photo was,
Sayaka,
we went to the
you can
A
company.
few more.
Three
Yeah,
more.
so we went to
Sayaka.
that company. They
Okay.
make light fixtures like lights and all kinds of
Oh
illumination.
yeah.
And
Again,
that was a
Macerata.
nice, yeah. what was the name? What do you call it?
Iguzzini.
Yeah, Iguccini. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that was a very nice, informative company visit. So when we have those symposia, so for the whole week we visit different businesses. Meet, like in Italy, in this city, we even met with the city mayor a couple of times. So they welcomed us. So that was interesting. So, all right, what is X-Culture? Now people have to get this one.
We're gonna close with this one, Sayaka.
Okay.
So what is X-Culture? Networking.
So
Oh, I love this question. That's a very good way.
Oh,
Oh, well
nice.
done, ladies.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
listening?
5, 4, 3,
Networking for
2.
life, crowdsourcing for business education and business consulting. That's a very good question, guys.
Okay, so let me
Ooh, a
just
good number of them got
So
it
who
right.
won? Oh,
skip
all
those
right.
questions.
Yeah.
We're gonna skip
Oh,
those
that's a good one.
questions.
So where's
Sorry.
the largest community?
Oh, someone's answering.
Where is the
Skip
largest
these questions.
community?
Sorry. We're running out of time. I'm sorry.
South Africa is famously known for. Guys, I want to know the answers.
The Rainbow City. Okay.
Another clear Russian. All right, let's do this one. Big Apple. Big Apple. So that's the. What is the nickname of China? Oh, come on, guys. I wanted to know the answer.
Okay.
That's okay. We could have been a minute late.
Okay.
So
I
Alina,
saw a lot of
and the first
EJ.
one is.
Who's the
Was
winner?
it Jay, Jemmy?
EJ.
EJ.
Yeah,
Oh,
Congratulations.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Congratulations, EJ,
Wait, I
Alina,
saw
and
Rafar's
Nihat.
name. I saw
Yes,
So
Rafar's
EJ got
I'm
10
EJ
out of
too.
15, even though the last 3 you kind of skipped through very quickly. That's quite impressive.
Yeah. So we're gonna need to identify who EJ is.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you guys. That was so much fun. So for those of you guys in webinar world, these are the kind of interactions that you're gonna have as you participate more and more with our ambassador, our coaches. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to our next thing. Jamie, you and I have seen each other a lot. And so I consider you my friend now, actually. So we're probably going to have a lunch date one day so that I can pay you for all the time that you've given us. But I'm going to let Rafael introduce you. But Jamie, it's nice to see you again. Thank you for coming again.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Jamie, for having us here. It's an honor to introduce our keynote presenter with you, James Cassie, former the Chief Education Evangelist at Google. James collaborates with school systems, education organizations, and leaders focused on building innovation in USA education policies and practices. James serves as an advisor to thousands of organizations focused on learning, skill development, and the future of work. He's also the co-author of our first talk about poverty, and as a way to talk to children about poverty. James helped launch the Phoenix Coding Academy, a public high school in Phoenix focused on computer science as part of an inquiry-based learning model. Today, Jamie comes up to talk about skills for the 22nd century. As the world gets more connected and online, it also gets more complex. In addition, COVID started a new era in the way of living. Therefore, students need to develop knowledge, skills, and abilities to thrive in this new environment. Students will need to solve global problems we haven't defined yet, using technology that hasn't been invented in roles that do not exist. To thrive in this new era, students need to know how to learn, how to solve problems, create, collaborate, communicate, and think critically. This will be the focus of Jamie's conversation with us today. Thank you, Jamie, for your time.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. So because this is an international call, you can call me Jaime. The problem I have is for those Latinos in the world is when someone says, "Hi, is your name Jaime?" I just immediately go to Jamie because they can't pronounce it. So I always go with Jamie. It's just easier with people here in the US anyway. So as mentioned, I am the former Chief Education Evangelist at Google. I was there for 10 years. 14 years, but for the past 10 years, focused on education and the use of technology in education and what we could do with technology in education. Launched Google Apps for Education into the university space that we now call G Suite, launched G Suite into K-12, and we have, or they have, I keep saying we, they have 100 million users using these tools around the world. I'm sure some of you are using them in your schools as well. And then the craziest idea I had was I launched Chromebooks into education when Chromebooks weren't meant for education. And I thought we'd put a couple million into the world, but it looks like we're putting a couple million a month into the world. So all that without knowing that these tools, the technology tools, Google Apps, Gmail, Docs, Google Classroom, and Chromebooks would be such a big part of this COVID world and being able to continuously learn because you have the tools to be able to do that, right? So sometimes you solve problems that you didn't even know you were solving because you couldn't, there's no, I can tell you, I was at those whiteboards creating this stuff. There's nothing on those whiteboards that say, in case there's a global pandemic, these tools would be helpful. No one predicted that. So sometimes you make things to solve problems that you didn't know you were going to solve, which is an interesting way of thinking about the work that you do. So I only got about 25 minutes at this point. So I wanted to bring up a couple of things to think about as young people who are in this world and what you're facing. And I'll start with this idea that we are now living in a digitalized world. We are now living in a world where digitalization is going to be a component to everything that we do. And you guys were born into this world and you don't know anything different. You think that this is just the world, the way the world is. But what you need to understand about digitalization, and by digitalization, I mean everything that has to do with artificial intelligence, machine learning, AR, VR, automation, robotics, all those things together, that whole package of technology tools, things that you program, if you will. What you need to understand is that even though it looks like for you that we've been in this for a long time, your whole life really, we are literally at the very, 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 very beginning of this. We haven't even scratched the surface. And as a point of illustration, Google a couple months ago announced a breakthrough in quantum computing. And I'm not going to get into the whole definition of quantum computing, but it's a new way, and the best way to describe it is it's a three-dimensional way of thinking about computing. But here's the breakthrough, because it'll show you where we are. If you took a mathematical equation, right? I heard people talking about STEM, but if you took a mathematical equation, one of those that keeps spinning on forever until you get to an n number, and you fed that calculation to a supercomputer, just one of the world's most powerful supercomputers, or the world's most powerful supercomputer, it would take you 10,000 years. It will take that supercomputer 10,000 years to process that equation. That's why they use many supercomputers at the same time. But it would take 10,000 years. The breakthrough that Google had was you could take the same calculation, the same equation, feed it to the quantum computing breakthrough that Google had, and they did it in 300 seconds. Now, that wasn't done on a MacBook, right? That was done with gigantic servers and all the power in the world and scientists and all that, but that's not that far off. And so you have to consider 300 seconds versus 10,000 years and what's in between those two numbers. So we are at the very beginning of what's possible with this. We haven't even nowhere near where we can do with technology and with digitalization. So what that means is that you need to understand it. You need to understand digitalization. You need to understand how it works. You need to understand the components of it. You can't just say, "Oh, artificial intelligence is too hard. I don't want to learn that." Or, "Oh, machine learning, that's like science." Or you need to understand at least the basics of computer science and digitalization and computational thinking and design principles, like all these things that go in it. Because whatever solution you're going to be involved in, whether that's something that you take on, and we'll talk about that in a minute, or a job that you go do, it will have a digitalized component, right? So, for example, I'm sitting here in downtown Phoenix, Arizona right now. And let's say the problem that I'm trying to solve is to get to the Phoenix airport. But I don't know that cars exist. I just have no concept of cars. What kinds of solutions would I come up with? I might come up with a great walking plan. I might come up with a great way to, I know what time to leave. I know what time I'll get there. I know what the path is. I know which is the less dangerous. I know which is where all the shade is. Like I can come up with a great plan of like, if you leave at 10 o'clock, it'll take you 3 hours and 46 seconds to get to the airport. Like I can come up with great solutions, but is it the right solution? Is it the best solution? And that's digitalization. Digitalization is the car. You got to know how it works. You got to know how to use it. And the best place to start for you guys is with a realization. And the realization is that you have been lied to your whole life. Well, for lots of different things. But when it comes to digitalization, you've been told that you are digital natives, that you know how to use digital tools, that you just naturally, because you're born with technology, know how to use technology. And the truth is, you don't. All the data shows us that you don't. There's a Stanford study from a couple years ago where elementary school kids can't tell the difference between a sponsored website and a real news site. 80% of high school kids, which means most of you, 80% of you wouldn't be able to pick out a fake story out of 5 stories that I presented to you. That's dangerous. And it's not your fault. You've just been told that you know how to do it and you don't. So I would start there. How do you search, vet, look for information? How do you verify? How is it credible? How do you think through? How do you post? All those things around just basic digital skills. And there's lots of information out there on how to be a digital citizen. I actually want you to take it to the next level and not be comfortable with digitalization or not be comfortable with how these things work, but more importantly, be a leader in this space so that you can actually use it to solve problems. So how does fiber work? How is it that we're talking right now? How is it that my microphone works? How is it that all these components work together so that you can understand how this stuff works? How does the internet work? How do you create websites? What's the next version of this? Why is one Wi-Fi network better than any other? What causes that? All those things to get curious about so that you can really understand these tools. And part of it is because you've been told, this is the adult's fault, by the way, this is not your fault. Because you've been told you're digital citizens and you just know technology, you never ask questions about it. You just think in your head, consciously or subconsciously, oh, they think I know this stuff, so I better not ask questions. So I'm yelling at teachers and parents and educators and adults about the fact that we need to stop calling you digital citizens and start working on really building out digital skills. So that's the one thing that I want to drop on you to think about as you move forward in whatever it is that you take on. So that's one. Now, because we're living in a world of digitalization, what you learn matters. And right now, what I'm trying to do in education is to move away from material and content and subjects that we know machines can do better, because eventually machines are going to do them. So if you're learning how to memorize things, machines can do that a lot better. So what that means is that you should be focusing on human skills. So on the education level, on the policy level, that's what I'm trying to work on, is to get us to think about developing human skills. And those human skills are the basic human skills that we've been talking about for a long time: problem solving, collaboration, critical thinking, the ability to learn, and creativity. I have a 5-year-old, and every time she wakes up, I think about those skills and how can I help her develop those skills? Because at the end, if digitalization is growing as I say it's growing, and human skills are here, it's not a battle. This isn't the Terminator. This isn't Matrix. This isn't a battle between the machines and humans. It is literally a cooperation. How do you take human skills, like I would put digital leadership under critical thinking, How do you take these human skills and take advantage of digitalization to solve problems that you are interested in, to bring different solutions to societies, to build products, to do whatever, but that combination. So as you're going through education, ask yourself if you're learning human skills. And it's, again, not your fault if you have to memorize a textbook, 3 chapters of a textbook, because you're gonna go get a test on it. That's not gonna help you in the long run anyway. So I'm working on that. I'll continue to work on that, but you also need to take some ownership about this. And here's how you do. Because if you look at this list of all the things that I just talked about, these things that I call human skills, we used to call them, by the way, 21st century skills. But you know, we're 20 years into the 21st century, so you can't really call them 21st century skills. And if you really want to trigger me, call them soft skills. A lot of adults call them soft skills, and that's just an insane concept. They are absolutely the most essential critical skills to develop, period. And when you look at that list, the one that you should focus on, the one where you can start building your own capacity and capability, is around the ability to learn. Now, I'm not saying the ability to take a test, or the ability to outline a textbook, or the ability to sit still and keep your arms folded in a classroom. The ability to learn starts with a self-awareness. It starts with, I don't know how to do something. I can't tell you how many adults, and you might say this yourself, how many adults, college educated, graduate educated, PhD educated adults who say to me, you're very creative. I am not very creative. That's what they say. Or they'll say, you know, I'm just not good with technology. I'm just not tech savvy. I hear educators say that all the time. Or they'll say things like, I'm just not good with finance. I don't understand the stock market. Stock market's not for me. I don't get it. Whatever that concept is, but those are usually I hear about the creativity one, I'm just not very creative, or I hear I'm just not good with technology the way you are. In my response to the adults, this isn't even students, my response to the adults, and this is why I don't have a lot of friends, but my response to the adults is, no, you've chosen not to be creative. You made a choice not to be good at technology. It's a choice. Because everything that you need to learn how to be creative and everything that you need to be good with technology is out there. You're choosing not to learn. The brain is a marvelous thing. You can sit and study something for 16 hours in a day and then go to bed and the next day wake up and do it all over again. It's just limitless. It's like one of those Slurpees or something that's just got a bottomless pit. It can do it forever. Now, it might take you an hour to build your technology skills. It might take me a year, but the ability is there. And so it starts with self-awareness. It starts with not, I'm not very creative. It starts with, I need to learn how to be creative. I need to learn how to use technology. I need to learn how computer science works. And then the next step in this is having awareness to, and this is back to the digital skills, on where to go learn that. Where can you learn how to be creative? What information is out there? What knowledge is out there that you can learn to be creative? And then you have to be able to determine whether or not you've learned it or not. And you do that through experience and practice and experimentation and review and being honest with yourself and so forth and so on. And I'll give you an example. I have a YouTube channel that you should all go subscribe to. It's just my name, Jamie Cassup, and it's full of career advice and ideas and things that we're talking about here and other things coming up. I'm actually working on a video right now about how to do interviews, how to behave in an interview. So it's just my name, JAIMECASAP on YouTube. I started this YouTube channel a year ago, and I knew absolutely zero about YouTube videos, editing videos, or even shooting videos. I'm a photographer. You can, if you go to my Instagram account, that's just JCASAP. If you go to my Instagram account, you'll see that I'm a photographer. I like taking pictures. I didn't even know my camera had a record button on it. Knew nothing. And I went to my daughter, who is, I have a 27-year-old too, who is a producer, a film producer, an editor. She actually has a degree in film and she works at CNN. And I said, hey, I want to start a YouTube channel. Where do I start? What's the first thing I need to know? And so she laughed for 20 minutes, but when she was done laughing about me starting a YouTube channel, she said, okay, start with this. Shoot at 1080, you don't need to shoot at 4K. Shoot at 24 frames per second to keep the motion realistic. Double your frame rate, so keep it around 50. Most cameras don't have 48. And try to keep your ISO at 100 to keep the noise down on the film. And if you shoot outside and you keep those settings, you're gonna need a ND filter, but get a variable ND filter because it's gonna blow out your exposure. And I said, cool, thank you. Thank you very much. Here's my next question. What do any of those words mean? I knew zero. And then I learned. And I didn't start with, I'm not good with video, or I'm not a videographer, or I'm not a YouTuber. I started with, I need to learn how to be a videographer. I need to learn how to edit. I need to learn how to do this on YouTube. And then I learned. And how I measured that, and I knew where to go. I used wisdom of crowds. I took a class. I did all these things that I knew where to go get this information so I could learn. And then how I measure it is how many people watch my videos. I watch my first video. You know, if you go watch my first video, it looks like my first couple of them look like hostage videos compared to my last couple of videos. And I can see progression. I can see it getting better. It used to take me, 5 days to edit a video, and now it takes me a couple of hours. I can see it, I can experiment, I can experience it. And oftentimes what we do is we give up. So I take the camera and I go outside because I just learned all this stuff, and then I try it and it doesn't work. And so I give up. When in reality is that you got to try it and do it and do it and do it and do it until it clicks. But it will click. And so that's an self attitude that you need to have. Making sure that you understand that you're responsible for your learning. So as a young person, you should never, ever have the ability to say, no one ever taught me that. Or I never took that class. Think about how many classes are available online. Think about all the programs that are out there. Think about all the free classes that are out there. And the reality is that we're moving towards a world where it won't necessarily matter where you went to college. What will matter is, what did you learn? And how are you using it? And pretty soon we're gonna have technology, and we're gonna have, because I know startups are working on this, where you're gonna have the ability to determine someone's knowledge, skills, and abilities, and be able to determine whether or not they would be a good fit at your organization. And you don't care where they went to college or how many classes they took, or even if they finished their class, because you know that they are skilled. For me, I'm committed to never looking at a resume again. And I will be doing a video on resumes, but I'm committed to it. Doesn't mean that tomorrow it's gonna happen, but I'm committed to never reviewing resumes. What I wanna see from people are portfolios, work that they've done. No matter what their age is, no matter how long you've done work, what is it? I want to see it. I want to be able to analyze it and interpret it. I want to see what you can do. What's the next step? What's the next potential? Just as you can watch my first video and then watch my last video and see that, oh, there's progression here. This person can progress. And then the last thing I want to cover is another skill that's on that list, which is problem solving. All of you have been asked the most ridiculous question in the modern age, which is, what do you want to be when you grow up? If I asked you to raise your hands, all of you'd be able to raise your hands, because you've all been asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? You have to ignore that question. And you have to have a little understanding, because that question comes from the old world. That question comes from a world where jobs were stable. That question comes from a world where jobs didn't shift that much. like when I was a kid. And what happens though is that change happens gradually and then suddenly. And what most adults don't realize is that we are now living in suddenly times, and that question doesn't make sense. When I graduated graduate school, when I graduated high school, when I graduated college, when I graduated graduate school, Google did not exist as a company. There was no way for me to prepare for a career in technology and the internet at a company named Google because none of those things existed. That's happening faster and faster and faster. I got 4 friends that are working in industries and spaces and on products that you have no idea about. So here's a question I want you to think about. What problems do you want to solve? What's the problem that spins in your head? Doesn't have to be a social problem. It can be, but it doesn't have to be climate change. It could be making cars go faster. If you watch any of those like Shark Tank type of shows, everyone who walks in with their idea is solving a problem. Sometimes they're solving problems that you didn't even know you had. What's the problem that you want to solve? And then here's the second question, which is really important. How do you want to solve it? How do you want to take your gifts, your angles, your perspectives, your point of view, your education, the things that you're passionate about to solve that problem? And that's an important question, because if you went to an adult and said, I want to solve climate change, they might say to you, oh, climate change, let me compute that. You need to study STEM. You need to get a degree in global sustainable development. You need to do this and this science class and this class and that class. And yes, all those things could be possible. But we also have to recognize that there are millions of ways to solve a problem, to take on a problem. And that problems don't have one angle, they have millions of angles. And so let's say that's not your thing. There are many ways to solve problems that way, but let's say you're a photographer like I am. You're an unbelievable photographer. You like take 1,000 pictures a day. You're just passionate. Like my daughter, who got a degree in film, she had been making movies since she was 5 years old. You're a photographer. You're passionate. You're good. People like get emotion from your photographs. They see it. And so the way you can solve climate change is by going out and documenting climate change and showing the world what's happening with climate change, or telling stories about climate change through your photographs. That's another way of solving a problem. And let's say you're a great educator. You're just born to teach, like my 19-year-old. He's going to be a teacher. The way you can solve climate change is by going out and creating an educational program around climate change, or an experiential program around climate change for students to visit climate change types of cities or whatever. So that matters. And then the last question that you need to think about, then the last question that I need you to think about is, how do you, this last question I want you to think about is, what do you need to learn to solve that problem? What are the knowledge, skills, and abilities that you need to have to solve that problem? And how do you start building those knowledge, skills, and abilities? What classes can you take in college, online, anywhere, on your own, on YouTube even? Like, what are the things that you need to know? Who's solving this problem now, and how can you learn from them? What other information, what newsletters, what blogs, what research, there's so much out there around both those angles. So let's say you need to learn how to continuously be a good photographer. You probably need to learn a whole bunch about climate change. And you need to learn those things together so that you can go out and do it. And what that does is it helps you focus on skills and not jobs. Because if you can determine what it is that you need to know, if you know what your knowledge, skills, and abilities are, then you can figure out where to start building those knowledge, skills, and abilities. And all of a sudden, all the world's work doesn't look like careers, but looks like skill development. For example, let's say these are the 2 things that you're focused on, and you graduate college and you're ready to take on the world, but and solve climate change by going out and documenting it through photography. But the first job, because you got no money, you got student loans, the first job you got is to take photographs of used cars in a used car parking lot. And you say to yourself, wait, that's nothing to do with climate change. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite of climate change, and has nothing to do with science or technology or any of these things. It's cars. But what you need to recognize, if you did this right, is that when you're building your skills, one of the skills that you're going to need to keep building is being able to present information. You need to be able to present photographs. You need to be able to sell things. And so you go take that job, because that's going to give you a year of experience on how to photograph and how to sell photographs and what do they look like and how to position them and which photographs work. Those are the skills you're going to be developing that you're going to be able to take on your journey to solve these problems. And so for me, the reason I worked at Google for 14.5 years wasn't because I prepared to work at Google, is because I kept building skills that were progressive, that got to the point where Google opened, they were able to say, we need you to help us with this. And with that, I will close out. And if you want to reach me on LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn. My Twitter handle is @JCASAP. I'm on Instagram. And obviously all you guys are going to go and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Jamie Castle.
Yes, and actually, everybody, we pushed out the Twitter. I think Raphael just did it. He pushed out the Twitter account, the YouTube account, the Instagram account, and the Facebook. So Jamie, just so you know, we have 1,300 students just this semester alone.
Awesome.
From 100 and, Vas, was it 109 countries?
104 countries for the
104
academy,
countries.
that's not counting the 6,000 students in the university track.
Yeah, so that's next. So if there is a little blip on your followers, you know, you can credit us for that. So
All right, we'll do that.
Again, amazing. Right. Thank you so much for being such an inspiration to so many of us. And we look forward to really, you know, maybe forming a relationship with you. I just sent you a message, and I'm sorry I sent you a message in the middle of your
yeah, that was you.
Who is that? Because I was just thinking, like, this guy needs to be on our board. Like, why isn't he working with us? Because this is exactly what we do. We are taking all of these amazing students from all over the world, and we want to build their skills. And if you want to take that journey with us, Jamie, that would be amazing. So waiting for your answer.
You did mention your YouTube channel where you give advice like on job interview and things like that. So we do get a lot of those questions from the students. And so we are trying to sometimes educate them using our own skills and knowledge, but maybe we should send them to your channel.
Yeah, no, so I posted a couple of videos on how to send messages on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's another question.
I can tell you this, everyone is terrible at it.
Yeah.
So what I did in the videos is I took the real message that I got, and I explained why it was terrible, and I gave suggestions on how to do it better.
Yeah.
Right. I use a lot of his videos actually to teach my college students basic life skills. Right. Like, you know, getting organized, not procrastinating. Those are basic life skills, especially in the time of pandemic. It's crazy how students don't know how to self-manage. And I use a lot of your videos actually to teach that in my organizational dynamic.
I even did a video on how to do videos. Like, this is why you're seeing me like this, why it's different than everyone else.
So clear, so beautiful. So Jamie, I look forward to your response.
All right, thank you guys. All right, bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Vas. So we have a ton of questions that I keep telling students, you know, hold off. We have a 30-minute segment in the end, and we will try to answer all of those questions. So I think the first thing we should do is really step them through the process, right?
Yeah. So let me talk about that. Yes. So in terms of how it works, obviously it's not your typical school or online course. And so it's going to be run a little bit differently. So let me explain how this works. So first, there are 3 components or 3 phases of the Xculture Academy program. The first one is, we call it the theoretical training phase. Then there will be practical training, and then there will be reflection. So the first 4 weeks will be the theoretical training phase. During this time, you will be given some theoretical training. So in fact, let me show you what it looks like. So I'll share my screen here, just one second. And I will show you what the resource page looks like that you will be working with. So this is the resource page. The link to it will be sent to you tomorrow. And on this page, you will find the training materials that you need to cover in those 4 weeks. So in week 1, there will be a bunch of materials on what is Xculture and how it works. So some of them will be short videos. You just click and watch it, either download and watch or watch on YouTube. And it explains what Xculture is and how it works and what Xculture Kids is, because it's a slightly different track. And then there will be all kinds of things about, the coaching and all that stuff. And then there will be some written stuff. Like, for example, if you click here, it is a training module in a written form. So some of them will be short videos and some of them will be more kind of written stuff. And then there are some additional resources for teachers, professionals, and parents. So for those who want to learn more. Then week 2, it will be all about global virtual teams. So we will teach you about how basically work with people from different countries. So the training module will focus on teamwork, on leadership in teams, on conflicts in teams, on communication in teams, all the things that you need to know when you work with people in global virtual teams. Again, some of these training modules are videos and they're not released yet. So it will be released week after week. Only after you pass the first week, you're allowed to move to the second week and then third week and so on. But this will be activated after you pass the first week. Then week 3, it will be all about the technical side. So online collaboration tools. So you will be trained in how to use Dropbox, Google Docs, Doodle, Trello, Slack, all those kinds of things. So the tools that you need to communicate with people online. Again, I assume most of you know how to write emails or how to use Skype or Zoom, but there are many useful tools and we would like you to know how to use them. So we will train you. And again, some of that will be in a video format, like a little video lecture, and then some of that you will need to read. And then the final week, it will be international business. So you will be working for a real client on an international business challenge. And so it's important that you know the basics of international business, a little bit about international marketing, a little bit about pricing in international context, a little bit about international market entry modes, a little bit about market analysis. So there will be almost a whole college course condensed to about an hour-long video lecture, and then there are some additional resources here. So in fact, I created that training module. I teach international business at the university. And so normally it would be a whole semester, but here I took the most important things, condensed it to about a couple of hours. And so you will need to review that to have some basic understanding of international business. Now, what's very important is that Xculture is a team-based project. So in the second phase, you will be placed in a team and there will be real clients with real challenges and you will be solving the challenge as a team. But what that means is that if one of the team members is not fully prepared or is not responsible enough or not diligent enough, then the whole team suffers. So that means that the purpose, the reason for the theoretical training is both to teach you, but also to test you. So after each training, after each week, there will be a test. And so you will need to take and pass that test, because if you don't take it or don't pass it, not only that may mean that you're not ready to, not prepared, but it also may mean that you're not serious enough about it. Maybe you're not disciplined enough. Maybe you lack motivation. So only people who pass all 4 theory tests will be placed on teams. Otherwise, if you fail any of those tests or if you miss any of those tests, you will be told to try again next semester. And again, the reason for that is if we were selling a book or if we were, offering a regular course, as long as you enroll, we don't care if you do it. Well, in Xculture, it is extremely important for us that you work hard during that practical phase when you're a member of a team. And if you are not, giving it all you have, your team will not be happy. And in that case, we think it's better that you don't participate at all rather than you participate and don't do a good job. So the 4 weeks will be both to train you, but also to test whether or not you can sustain that level of performance week after week after week after week. And let me share my screen one more time. I'll show you what those tests look like and how you get them. So every week you will complete the training modules here that I showed you. And then on Wednesday, you will receive an email that looks like this. So it will be, for example, week 2 theory test link for Vastara. So that's my link. And so let me download the picture here. So this is what it will look like. And so here it will say that you have to complete the test by this date, by this time, and here is your link. And you just click on the link and it will take you to the test. And so here it will basically, start your test, and you go ahead and you do the test. So for example, what does global virtual GVT stands for? Well, you know that it's a global virtual team. And then what is a GVT? And so you have all these questions and you just answer them, save, continue. And when you're done, you submit the exam and you will get your results a little bit later because some of that needs to be tested separately. And so, that's pretty much how it works. Now, in terms of the challenges that you will be working on, again, here on the resource page, you already can see the challenges that the teams worked on last semester. So we had something like 10 companies or something like that. And so there will be a different list of companies this semester. The challenges will be released on October the 4th when you will be placed in teams. And so as you will see, just to give you an example, so here we have, for the youngest ones, we have a challenge where the goal is to design your dream school. Then we have an American company called Captive Voice. They offer software for schools that help with education. Then there is this company from Italy called Zen CV. So it's a company that basically develops professional resumes. Then Good Earth Oils, this company, by the way, participates again this semester. It's an Australian company that makes canola oil. Then Get Out Events, it's a Singaporean company that provides corporate sort of event planning. They will be participating again. Then we have Vinhood, it's a French company that makes cosmetics. My university was a client last semester, the University of North Carolina in Greensboro. We started a new master's program and we're asking for some help with that program. Dart Drones, it's an American company that provides training for pilots of drones, and they will be participating again this semester. And One More Day, another Italian company, they're not participating this semester, but it's an app that helps students learn. So basically that's how it works during the theoretical phase. So you will be given access to this page tomorrow. You will have to go through the materials each week. On Wednesday, you will get a link to the test, and then that will look like this. You click on the link, you take the test, and then everything repeats next week, and then next week, and then next week. If you pass all 4 tests, you will be eligible to then advance to the next stage. And so it will be October 4th, if I remember correctly, this semester. That's when you will be placed on a team. And again, so we will look at your age, your experience, your performance on the test, and then place you in a team with 7 other people. So there will be teams of about 7, each one from a different country, but everybody of the same age, roughly plus or minus a year, and roughly of the same work experience. As I said, we have a separate track for university students. So they are in teams with other university students. We have a separate track for professionals. So people who are 20, 30, 40 years old and who would like to improve their career prospects. And so they're going through this training for experience and for their certificates. And again, they obviously will be in teams with other professionals. And then we have a track of teenagers, essentially preschool high students. I mean, pre-university high students. And so they will be in teams with kids of their own age. The youngest ones are 13 and then older and older and older. And again, it's slightly adjusted for the age. I mean, we cannot expect the same sort of skill level from the 13-year-olds that we expect from the 30-year-old MBAs, obviously. So for the kids, it will be slightly simpler. Now, once you're placed on teams, you will have weekly deliverables. So each week you will have something to work on. So you will choose a client in week 1. And then for week 2, you will start working on the actual task challenge that they have for you. And so each week you will be required to submit some work. And so it will be reviewed, you will get some feedback, and you will move on to the next week and the next week and the next week until in the end, you will be submitting the final report. Now, during all these weeks, all this time, we will have regular webinars, not quite like the one today. It will be more like a weekly review webinar. So we will usually have a guest speaker, usually one of the professors who will talk about some specific topic that is relevant to that week. The main purpose of those weekly review sessions will be to basically, update you on what needs to be done this week and then answer your questions if you have any. So in the United States at universities, there is something called office hours. So that's when the professor is sitting in the office and is available to the students. This is something like this. So there will be a couple of professors available to you each week. And if you have any questions, they will answer them for you. In addition, the coaches will be available to you. So you will be able to fill out a form at any time and request coaching help. And so the coach will be available to you to maybe provide feedback on your work, or maybe answer some questions that you have, or maybe you have a conflict with a team member in your team. The coaches will help you with that. But yes, all those 2 months when you work in a team, it will be about you and your team and collaboration. There will be webinars with the client companies as well. So the first round will be in the first week of September. So this is where you will be able to meet the managers, the CEOs, the founders of each of the client companies. So you can select the one that you like most. And then there will be a few follow-up webinars with the companies where they will answer your questions. If you have more questions, maybe provide feedback on your ideas and stuff like that. So at the end, you will submit your report, and then each report will be evaluated by usually about 5 to 7 different professors. So they will read your work and they will evaluate it. And so based on that, you will receive some sort of a grade and some sort of feedback. Additionally, in the reflection phase, there will be several things that we will, so that will be December basically. So what we will ask you to do in December is, one, present your work to your client. So you will do a video presentation online to your client. Now, obviously, we will have more than 1,000 teams. So a total number of teams usually is like 1,100, 1,100. And so obviously the clients just simply will not have the time to watch every presentation. It will take forever. But you will still be asked to prepare one and record one. And so we will see how many will be able to present actually live, but everybody will have to prepare a presentation and deliver it, and we will have the recording of that. And then there will be also a series of kind of reflection webinars at the end, so where you will share your experiences with other X-Culture students, where we will sort of reflect on what has been going on in those last few months. So where we will try to sort of learn from this experience. And when everything is done, you will receive several different things. One, you will receive your X-Culture certificate. 2, you will receive your performance evaluation. And then 3, you will receive your recommendation letter. So somebody asked if X-Culture can help you get into a good university, and the answer is yes. In fact, we have quite a few students who have gone through X-Culture and then used this experience and the certificate and the recommendation letter in the application to the university. And because most of the kids of your age or people of your age are not participate or have not participated in international teams, obviously you will be a little bit different. You will have something nobody else does. You will have an experience that nobody else has. And so that will help you stand out from the crowd and be a more interesting candidate applicant for that university. Same thing with jobs. We get a lot of emails where students tell us that they were applying for a job. And again, it could be a university student or a professional. And there are 10, 20, 30 other people applying for the same position. And everybody is roughly the same. Everybody went to college, everybody has good grades, everybody has some experience. But then our student says, oh, but I also completed the X-Culture program, and here is my certificate, and I worked with people from all around the world for a real company. And so I learned how to communicate online. I learned how to present online. I learned how to schedule meetings online. I wrote a report, a strategy for a company. Here is the copy of that report. And then the interviewer says, oh, tell me more. This is very interesting. I've never seen anyone who's done this. And so before we know it, you got the job. So this is briefly what it is. So for now, look out for that email with the link to the resource page. And then a few days later, look out for the email with the link to your first week test. Make sure to do well on the test. If you fail the test, somebody is asking, can I take it again? We will give you an opportunity to try again, but try not to fail on the first take. As I said, the tests are both to make sure that you are knowledgeable and skilled enough for the program, but also to make sure that you are responsible and disciplined enough and able to sustain that level of performance for multiple weeks. Because as I said, you don't want to have people on your team who are not ready, right? You don't want to have people on your team who maybe not fluent enough in English to communicate with you, who maybe are not responsible enough to participate week after week, week after week. And so if you are one of the people who is not ready, we will just ask you to do it again next semester when you are ready. I would not worry too much. It's not that difficult. The tests are relatively simple. As long as you read the materials, you probably will know the answers. The tests are not timed. You can take them anytime during that week by Sunday midnight. And so if you start the test, you can take as much time as you need. So you can go slowly, it's not a problem. So as long as you try, you probably will pass the test. But some people don't try hard enough, and obviously we don't want those people in the program. There was also one question about payment. Yes, Xculture is not free, kind of. So obviously, you know, we have a lot of sort of expenses related to running this program. All those professors, coaches, electronic tools, all of that needs to be paid for. So there is a participation fee of $256 per student for the whole course. But we also realize that this amount may be too much for some students, maybe from poor countries or maybe poor families, whatever that means. So you were able to apply for a stipend. And again, not everyone gets a stipend. It's not an automatic thing. But if there is a legitimate need, we will provide some financial support. So it's only limited only for some people. But if you really cannot pay, we understand that, and we will try to work with you and provide some financial support. So, so there will be some support available to students who really need it. You should have received your acceptance letters by now. And so everything about the payments and about the stipends is detailed there. So if you applied for a stipend and if you were given one, it would be in that acceptance letter. And if you were not given one, again, it would be in that acceptance letter. If you have questions, just send a question to academy@xculture.org and we will provide you more information. So I'm going to stop here. I'm not sure if there are any questions that I did not answer. So if anybody's monitoring them, let me know. But it seems like I've gone through all of the details. So look out for that email, click on the link, access the resources, do whatever is due first week. Then look out for the email with the link to the week 1 test. Make sure to pass the test and we'll go from there. And week 1 will be all about how Xculture works. So if you have any other additional questions, it will be covered in that week 1 materials. All right.
Okay, so still I'm just reviewing the chats and the questions. Again, a lot of questions about the stipend and paying, and it looks like that's what everybody's concerned with right now. And just as a backup for Dr. Teraz, okay, so like he said, that this is not a free activity because we have so many expenses. But our goal is really to create for every paying student that we are able to provide stipends. And those, what we call tuition waivers, are limited. So, you know, for those of you guys who applied and we recognize that there was a need, that was already responded to. But you will not all receive stipends or tuition waivers. So just keep that in mind. But first and foremost, you must pass the theory phase. It's
Yes.
a 4-week theory phase session. You have to do all of those active learning individual activities yourself and take those tests on time. That's the first test.
Importantly, you do not pay anything until you pass all of the tests. Because if you don't pass the test, we don't want your money. So you're not eligible to participate. So for us, it's much more important how well you do on the tests rather than, you know, like if we were selling something where we're just after money, obviously we would require payment first, you know, right away. But no, in our case, it's more important how well you participate. So only after you pass all of the tests, only after you qualify, only then you will be even allowed to pay. Until then, no, sorry.
Right. So after you pass your phase 1, that's when you register and pay your $256. And the reason for that is, would you want to be a teammate to somebody who is not participating? Would you want somebody in your team that does not have the aptitude to do collaborative work with you? And with Academy, we pride ourselves in really engaging you in active learning with like-minded students, okay? So for example, if you're a professional and you're in a team with other professionals, we want all of those professionals to have the same capabilities as you do so that you have an engaging, enriching experience. It's not, you know, just to give away, you know, lessons or free activities. That's not what we're about. We're about creating a better world for the future. And, you know, C.K. Prahalad said that everybody has to have skin in the game. Everybody should have some kind of investment because typically when people don't invest in their activities, they don't do well. So again, our goal is for every paying student, we will provide some kind of a tuition waiver. And if there are more students who are applying for tuition waivers than we have paying students, that means that we will have to decline some of those applicants. And it's just a matter of math, you guys. It's, you know, we're not picking on you. It's just a matter of math that we have to be able to sustainably support and create an enriching opportunity for all participants, okay? So
there is a very good question about acceptance letters before we forget. So somebody says that I didn't get my acceptance letter. Technically, it's, how should I put it? It's almost impossible because first we sent it when you applied. Second, we obviously sent it to you several more times. And I believe yesterday we sent a copy to everyone one more time. But what happens often is if you didn't get your letter, it could be in your spam folder. So we have to send out over 6,000 of those letters, obviously, in the last few days, because that's how many students we have. And what happens sometimes, some of the email servers think that we are spammers, because we send essentially the same letter to thousands and thousands of people. And so sometimes our letters go into a spam folder. So check that place. And so there should be an email there from Academy with the link to your acceptance letter. If you still didn't get it, again, send an email to academy@xculture.org and we will try to resend it to you individually one more time. But yeah, they all have gone out. I mean, if you know about this meeting, you should have received some emails from us. And if you did receive those emails, one of them should have contained your acceptance letter, in fact, the first one.
So again, a lot more questions about, I'm just reviewing about financial. I think that if you guys really want to get more detailed information, please visit xculture.org/academy. And in detail, it lines out everything that you need to know. We also have, if you have like pressing questions that really need to be answered, email us at academy@xculture.org. But again, I think that we basically answered all of the questions here.
Well, and importantly, the first week's training is all about how Xculture works, what it is, from the history of the program to literally where you find the deadlines and where you submit your work. So no worries. Once you go through that first week's training, you will know all the details. You will know how the teams are formed, how you submit your work, how you choose a client. Do you need to have a team leader or not? You know, how you communicate. So all of that will be covered in that first week. So the important thing for now is watch out for that email tomorrow with the link to the resource page. And then on Wednesday, every Wednesday, you will get an email with the link to that week's test. And so you will have until the end of the day on Sunday to complete the test, 11:59 p.m. New York time. So for most of you, it will be basically tomorrow. So you'll have enough time to complete that test. It's not timed. You can do it anytime. You can take as long as you need, but you have to do those tests week after week. So why people sometimes get disqualified from Xculture, usually they either missed a test, so forgot about it, or were not responsible enough to do it, or sometimes they just didn't do well enough. So we usually expect 80% or more correct answers on each test. And if you don't get that score, we assume that you're not ready yet, and maybe you should try again next semester. Don't worry, it's not that difficult. I'm sure as long as you try, you will pass. So don't worry about it. But some people apparently are not trying hard enough. And when that's the case, well.
Right. Again, we're not doing this to you, we're doing this for you, and we want you to succeed. And in order to do that, we have to have a threshold, right? Okay, so also in addition to all of these academic stuff, so the fun stuff happens, right? So in addition, we actually have some engaging activities, and you will receive this starting on Monday, I believe. We'll be sending out a sign-up sheet that will present you with some social activities. So the first social activity set that we're going to push out on Monday is we're going to be hosting some global virtual tours. So if you would like to apply as a virtual tour guide of your city or your country, we are looking for participants who will do that for us. We are
That's-
also looking for
That's the
some,
first time we do it, so I'm curious. So we
Yeah, yeah,
cannot
yeah.
travel because of
I
the
want to go too, right?
So
So
yeah,
we're
I'm happy to
also-
show you my town, my home. So maybe some of you will do the same. So I'm curious to see what your towns look like. So yeah.
Yeah, so we also are offering sessions for virtual cooking demonstrations. And this is where, you know, we will select somebody who wants to do a cooking demonstration. And then we will give you a list of products that you need to purchase. And during the cooking demonstration, we actually want you to cook with us. And then also we have another program called the Pen Pal program, where we will put you in contact with another student or another academy participant from the other side of the world, like mine, like ideas, but just different locations, so that, you know, you can get to know each other. And I loved having a pen pal when I was a student. So
So that's in
hopefully
addition to the team members, right? So they'll have a team. So those they will communicate with all the time, but they will have a separate pen pal from a different team, right?
Yes, separate pen pal from a different team, from a different part of the world, and we'll make sure that it's not one of your teammates. That's the whole idea, right?
Leilani, also several students asked me if we're going to do any more virtual picnics. So we did one 2 weeks ago, I believe, where everybody